Hey guys, D-Pad Danny back again, and it's springtime. Temperatures are starting to warm up, soon it'll be grill season, and time to hang out with friends outside on into the night. What do those two things have in common? Fire. So, in honor of that, I thought today we would look at some fire games.
Towering Inferno is a pretty standard game for the Atari 2600. You play as a firefighter trying to save people from a burning building. Starting at the top of the building, you come in via helicopter and rush in to save whoever you can. Once inside, the screen changes to an overhead perspective. Flames dance around throughout the single-floor area you're presented with in an erratic fashion. As an unnamed firefighter, your job is to reach the survivors at the northern part of the floor, grab them and head out of there before falling victim to the flames. The survivors are represented by a single chunky white pixel, regardless of how many remain. Oh yeah, so that's kinda how the game limits your time. As time goes on, the survivors, I guess, die off, as the number is reduced periodically. If all of them perish, it's the game over for you. You can also game over if you take too much damage. To get through the flames, you'll need to apply some quick reflexes and avoidance skills, but you'll also have to spray your way through some areas with your water hose. Honestly, your character model kinda looks like a faucet. Weird. There's sort of a fire-like staticky sound effect that plays through most of the game, and there really isn't anything in the way of music. Graphics are again pretty standard for the 2600, and though it's mildly entertaining, it likely won't keep your attention for very long before you decide to shut it off and play something else. The Fireman is a game for the Super Nintendo and Super Famicom. Well, in Japan, Europe, and Australia anyway, because we never got it here in the States. And it's a shame too, because it's great fun. It's the annual Christmas party at a chemical company headquarters in New York City. A fire breaks out in the kitchen and starts spreading through the entirety of the building. To make matters worse, the basement contains large quantities of an extremely combustible chemical. Working with your team, as well as the architect of the building via radio, Pete and Danny are tasked to getting to the roof and blowing up a large water tank in an effort to stop the blaze. Didn't know I was a firefighter, did you? You play in the role of Pete, who has a few modes of attack. He can spray straight forward, he can spray down on the floor, and there's also water bombs you can use to blast water in a wider radius. I use the term attack because this fire is smart. It moves around on the ground and it'll gun straight for you at times. Robots and machines have also gone haywire as a result of the flames. Danny will also help out with his axe, chopping up fire jabronis with ease. So yeah, you're definitely attacking the flames rather than extinguishing them. The two methods of spraying really work well, as some enemies and hazards are low to the floor and standard spray will just go right over them. Sometimes you'll find an upgrade that makes your water supercharged with power! You'll put out the flames much faster with this upgraded water, but take damage once and it's gone, sadly. You can only take so much damage before you succumb to the flames. You do have 3 lives, but 0 continues. I've played the game multiple times and have yet to beat it, though when recording this footage, I got to what I think is the last boss. Yep, each stage ends with a boss, whether it's a big cluster of flames or a burning piece of machinery that's out for your blood. Some of these can be tough and require lots of dodging and spraying with precision to get the job done. Along the way, you'll occasionally find survivors that have passed out or have been injured. When you find them, Danny will rush them out the building with lightning speed and come right back for more. Sometimes you'll need to go out of your way to rescue them, but it pays off when you're low on health, as rescuing them will give you a bit back, increasing your odds of survival. Graphically, this game is pretty nice to look at, and the fire effects are pretty neat. The area of play is a little zoomed in, and sometimes it can feel like stuff just jumps out of nowhere, because you can only see so much of the stage, but it's a minor complaint, and you get used to it pretty quickly. The music here is actually pretty damn good, and the soundtrack in general is pretty rockin'. Everything you're seeing here is a reproduction card I have, and I'm not sure if it's the official English translation that Australia got, or if it's a fan translation of the Japanese version, but there's lots of typos to be had. Regardless, this is a really fun game, and I think it would have been pretty well received had it been released here in the States. This one gets my recommendation if you're looking for something you might not have played before. Game & Watch Fire is a perfect inclusion to this video. I mean, it's freaking called Fire. This is a pretty simple game where you are once again rescuing people from a burning building. Naturally, this was first released as a Game & Watch toy, which is what Nintendo was making before they dominated the handheld video game market with the Game Boy and its interchangeable cartridges. Nintendo started releasing these games in the Game & Watch Gallery compilations on Game Boy consoles so they wouldn't just get lost in obscurity. This is Game & Watch Gallery 4 for the Game Boy Advance. It includes a handful of Game & Watch games such as Donkey Kong 3, Chef, and of course my personal favorite, Fire. Like I said before, you're rescuing folks from yet another burning building. You control 2 firefighters on the ground holding a life net. You move back and forth in 3 different positions to bounce the scared victims to safety as they leap from the flames. At first, it's just one survivor you need to manage, but it doesn't take long at all before the gameplay gets pretty frenzied, and you'll find yourself rushing back and forth to make sure that no one hits the ground. If you miss 3 times, it's a game over. The modernized version has you playing as Mario and Luigi, and the victims are other Mario characters such as Toads, Yoshis, and even DK Jr. Each one has a different bounce trajectory to increase the difficulty. On top of that, they start throwing bombs at you as well. Why are there so many bombs in this place? This game is good, simple fun that's great for a quick play session here and there, and I've always really enjoyed it. I feel like they did a good job modernizing it while adding enough to make it feel fresh, but not so much to where it loses what was fun about the original. The graphics here are pretty enjoyable, and every couple of 100 points the scene will change to indicate the time. The music's pretty catchy as well. Well, we've talked about saving a lot of people from fires. How about we set some of our own? If you like starting fires, Little Inferno is the game for you. It allows you to burn lots of stuff in the comfort of your own home without those pesky arson charges. All jokes aside, you really shouldn't play with fire. In fact, the game tells you right at the beginning not to, which honestly if they didn't, some dumbass kid probably would have blamed the game for doing something stupid in real life. Because that's the kind of world we live in, one without personal accountability. Anyway, Little Inferno is a pretty fun casual game where you order various objects from your mail-away catalogs and burn the crap out of them. Some of them have really funny burning animations, like the Kitty Kitty Poo Poo plush, where when burnt it voids its bowels all over the place. These marshmallows freak out when you set them on fire, but I mean, can you blame them? Burning isn't just for fun here though. It's been snowing for years and no one knows if or when it'll ever stop, so people have to burn all of their belongings just to stay warm. The whole thing has almost a creepy dystopian future feel to it, just with no dictator to speak of. You do have Miss Nancy, who is the president of the Tomorrow Corporation that makes the Little Inferno entertainment fireplace, and she'll send you letters sometimes. You'll also get letters from your eccentric neighbor. Occasionally, even the weatherman will send you a weather update, though it always seems to be about the same. Snow, snow, and more snow. Where did this guy get his meteorology degree anyway? He's absolutely nuts to be up there in the weather balloon during the perpetual snowstorm. So basically, you buy stuff to burn, and in burning it, you'll get more money to buy and burn even more stuff. There's multiple catalogs that sell all manner of different items of a certain theme, like toys and food and whatnot. Some things can be burnt together. There's a list of combos the game wants you to try to figure out, but it tells you nothing other than the name. Like freaked out food, you wouldn't know the marshmallows, toaster, and coffee would be the proper items had you not already burned them and saw them freak out for yourself. It's fun going through and checking off all the combos. You can only hold so many items at a time, but you can eventually purchase more item slots. There's a bit of story progression that occurs throughout the game, but nothing super heavy. It's still mainly a game about burning stuff for fun. I'd recommend it for a nice casual playthrough. I'm playing it on the Wii U, but it's also available on the Switch, PC, and mobile phones. It's pretty cheap, so if it looks fun to you, check it out. This is Firewatch. All anyone ever tells you about this game is that you seek out a job at a national park to escape your big city woes and be one with nature. Well, that's mostly true, but what they don't tell you is the exact reason you took the job in the first place. And I'm not going to either. But I will say the game starts out with a cute, lighthearted story and quickly sideswipes you with tragedy. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I was not ready. I about had an emotional reaction to just the written word intro alone. Seriously. Anyway, you're pretty much broken when you take the job, and you start out with your first assignment, to tell some punk teenage girls to stop lighting off fireworks and skinny dipping in the lake. After that, you kind of spend about a month just relaxing in the wilderness of the park. Your only communication is with Delilah, another ranger and your superior, who is about the same age range as you and a little bit of a drunk, but she seems like she means well. Over the course of the next few months, you and Delilah start building up a kinship and even somewhat of a mutual love interest, though it's never really directly stated. The voice acting here is actually done really well, and the two characters' chemistry can be heard in their tone and delivery. Navigating different areas of the park is interesting, and it takes a bit getting used to. You have a map, but not one you'd expect in most games like this. No, it's an actual paper map. You'll need to use this in conjunction with your compass to get from area to area. Sometimes you'll find supply boxes with notes on them that you can record on your map to show different routes to get to different areas. All of this really gives you the sense of navigating in the wild. You'll also have to set up ropes to rappel and climb to make some areas passable, and even chop down a tree or two to make a bridge to cross. You know, for a game called Firewatch, I've seen surprisingly few fires. Oh, there's one! After a while, some really weird things start happening. You become aware that someone has been tapping into your radio and doing research on both you and Delilah. Suspicions run high as you both try to figure out who's behind it all and why. Someone's cut the external communication line, someone set up a research facility in the middle of the park. Really strange stuff. Eventually, another fire breaks out and the two fires join to become one, and you'll find yourself struggling to find answers behind the craziness while trying to escape the park as it goes up in flames. This game is heavy. Like, really, really heavy. After I beat it, I just kind of sat in awe for a little while, not knowing what to think. The game goes out of its way to make you feel hopeful, angry, confused, tense, and devastated throughout the experience. And that's what it is first and foremost, an experience. I can't really tell you much more than that, otherwise it'll severely reduce your personal experience should you decide to try it, and I feel you should. I will say, though, steer clear of the Switch version. I'm not sure if it's just the port or what, but I found it hanging up in a lot of spots, and the game even crashed at one point, causing me to reload and start back at the beginning of that day. Don't let that deter you, though, as it's available on the PlayStation 4 and the PC.
Well guys, those are just a few Fire games that are out there to be had. Let me know in the comments if you've played any of them and what you might have thought. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. As always, I'm D-Pad Danny. I'll see you next time.